If you die tomorrow, would your last day be proof you were ever alive? You scroll, you sleep, you settle, and then you wonder why your life is a joke. Winners, we don't have time to be weak. Every breath is war, every second is a weapon, and if you ain't using yours, someone else is using theirs to conquer you. You've been sold a fantasy, a prison with painted walls. Every single morning you wake up and repeat a cycle that was designed to break you. You drag yourself out of bed, not because you're driven by purpose, but because you're terrified of consequences. You don't rise with fire in your soul. You rise out of fear. Fear of losing the job. Fear of the landlord, fear of being poor. And they've convinced you that this fear is normal, that being afraid and compliant is what life's supposed to be. That as long as you're making ends meet, you should be proud of yourself. But let me ask you something brutal. When was the last time you were actually free? Most of you haven't felt freedom a single day in your entire life. You've been on a leash since the moment you were born. School taught you to obey, not to think. Your job trains you to execute, not to lead. And the worst part, you're proud of it. You wear your suffering like a badge of honor. You tell yourself you're working hard, as if effort automatically equals reward, but it doesn't. The world doesn't pay you for effort. It pays you for strategy, power, and influence. The janitor works hard. The construction worker breaks his back, but they're both replaceable. The rich man doesn't break a sweat, but he owns the building. And you know it deep down, but you lie to yourself because the truth burns too hot. You've been tricked into thinking the path to success is through loyalty and patience. They told you if you keep your head down, save a little, obey your boss, and say yes enough times, you'll get your shot. You won't. That's not how power works. The people at the top didn't get there by playing nice. They got there by refusing to be average. They rejected comfort. They risked more than you're willing to even imagine. They didn't trade time for money. They traded ideas for freedom. While you waste your best years clocking in and out like a robot, hoping for a vacation or a bonus. They're building legacies that print money in their sleep. You work 40 hours a week to make someone else rich. And what do you get? A rented apartment, car payments, and stress. You call that success? You call that life? That's not living, that's surviving, that's barely existing. You can't breathe, you can't think. You're too tired after work to chase your dreams, too broke to invest, too distracted to even realize how much time you're wasting. They designed it this way. The game is rigged. You're not even playing, you're just a piece on someone else's board. And they laugh because you willingly accept it. But here's the difference between me and everyone else giving you advice. I'm not here to coddle you. I'm not going to stroke your ego and tell you to manifest your dreams or journal your way to wealth. That's garbage. Real change demands action. It demands violence against your old self. A full-blown war against the weak version of you that's okay with being mediocre. You think I got rich by waiting? By hoping? I took what was mine. I built systems that didn't need me. I created value that multiplied. I escaped the hamster wheel because I realized no one was coming to save me. And no one's coming to save you either. Not your parents, not your boss, not the government. It's you. Always has been. And before you drown in self-pity, understand this. You have power. You were born with the same tools I have. A brain, time, energy. The difference is how you use them. I channel mine into dominance, discipline, and direction. You channel yours into entertainment, distractions, and excuses. But it's not too late. That's the beautiful part. You're not dead yet. You still have time. You still have fight left. That anger you feel when you hear this? Good. That discomfort? That's your soul trying to wake up. Listen to it. Use it. Let it light a fire that never dies. Because if you don't, you'll blink. And you'll be 50, broke, tired, full of regret. You'll look back and realize you wasted your prime chasing security when you could have built a kingdom. You'll remember moments like this, where the truth punched you in the face. You wish you acted. You wish you listened. So act now, before life passes you by, before your dreams rot, before you settle for a life that doesn't even feel like yours. You were born to be a machine, a leader, a warrior, not a servant begging for weekends and holidays. Get up. Rebuild or be forgotten. I wasn't born rich. I didn't grow up in a mansion with staff waiting on me. I didn't wake up with money in the bank or businesses in my name. I came from the same world you're stuck in now. Stress, bills, pressure, scraping through the month like every step forward might be your last. I know exactly what it feels like to wake up with nothing and still have to act like everything's fine. I remember lying awake some nights staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was ever going to escape. Not just the poverty, not just the lack of money, but the mental cage they had built around me since birth. Rose, the one that whispered, just get a job, be grateful, stay safe. That whisper almost killed me. There was a point in my life where I genuinely believed I was going to fail. I was broke, angry, and surrounded by people who had accepted failure as their fate. I looked around and saw no one winning, no one chasing, no one hungry, just men who had surrendered to comfort, clinging to their routines like life was some prison sentence they had to endure. And for a while, I almost became one of them. Almost. But there was a moment, a very specific moment, that snapped me awake. I was sitting in my cheap apartment, cold, alone, heating turned off because I couldn't afford it, scrolling through my phone like a zombie. I saw some guy on a yacht in Monaco, laughing with women, living like a king, and something inside me snapped. Not out of jealousy, but rage, pure rage. Not at him, but at myself. Because deep down, I knew he wasn't better than me. He was just smarter, more ruthless, more focused. That was the night I stopped blaming the world and started becoming a weapon. You think motivation is enough? No, I was beyond motivated. I was possessed. Every second became a test. Every hour was war. I studied, I learned, I built, I failed, and I built again. I lost sleep, I lost friends, I lost comfort, but I never lost faith in myself. I told myself I will never be poor again. I will never beg life for mercy. I will never watch another man live my dream while I make excuses. And that's exactly what happened. I went from sleeping in a freezing room to sleeping in 5-star hotels overlooking cities I used to only see on screens. And I didn't do it with luck. I did it with obsession. I did it with violence against my own weakness. I looked at the version of me that was scared, broke, and helpless. And I killed him. But don't get it twisted. The money wasn't the victory. The victory was freedom. Freedom to think. Freedom to breathe. Freedom to say no when the world demands yes. That's what wealth really is. It's not the watch, it's not the car, it's not the suit. It's the silence in your mind when you know no one owns you. That's what I fought. That's what I fight to keep. And that's what you need to realize. This isn't about status. It's about survival. This world isn't fair. It's designed to keep you compliant. And if you don't build your own reality, someone else will hand you theirs, and you'll live in it until the day you die. I've had men come up to me crying, saying they don't know what to do with their lives. You know what I tell them? Good. Feel that pain. Let it burn. That's the signal. That's life trying to break you out of the cage. But instead of acting, most people sedate themselves. Booze, porn, useless scrolling, anything to avoid responsibility. But pain is not your enemy. It's your ally. And when I felt that hunger, that bottomless pit in my stomach, I didn't run from it, I fed it. With progress, with discipline, with goals that scared me. That's how you win. You feed your demons purpose until they become your army. You think I don't remember the hunger? I live with it every day. That same fire is still in me. It never left, because no matter how much money I make, I'll never forget what it felt like to be nothing. I use that memory like a blade every day, every second. I stay sharp because comfort is a slow death, and I refuse to die that way. You can have the house, the car, the girl, but if you lose that hunger, you're finished. You might look successful, but inside, you're dead. This is your story too. The difference is you're still stuck in the middle of it, but you get to decide how it ends. Do you give up and become another nobody, or do you flip the switch and become the man you were born to be? Because make no mistake, you were born for more. You feel it, that tension, that frustration, that voice inside that says, this can't be it. That's your inner Kim trying to wake up. Don't ignore him, don't numb him, answer him. Because once you do, once you decide that the old version of you isn't allowed to exist anymore, everything changes. Your energy shifts, your presence changes. People start to feel something different when you walk into a room. That's power. That's what real transformation looks like. And it all starts with a choice. Remain comfortable or become legendary. You don't have time? It's the first lie they fed you, that there's always tomorrow, that you're young, that you can relax. There is no later. There's no magical future where you suddenly become disciplined, driven, and successful. If you're not doing it now, you never will. I've met thousands of men who said, I'll start next week, and guess where they are today? Same job, same complaint, same paycheck, same weak life. Life doesn't wait for you. The world moves on, and every second you waste is a second someone else is using to lap you. That's the brutal truth. While you're sitting there thinking, man, another man is building. While you're resting, he's grinding. While you're distracted, he's winning. And when you finally wake up, he'll be so far ahead you won't even see him anymore. The clock isn't just ticking, it's screaming. Every second that passes is a second closer to regret. Do you know what regret really feels like? It's not just sadness, it's a deep, soul-destroying ache that lives in your bone. It shows up when you're older, when the fire in your body starts to die, but your mind stays alive just enough to remember all the things you didn't do. That's the worst kind of hell, being fully conscious of your wasted potential. Imagine standing in front of the mirror, gray hair, weak frame, broken soul, and knowing the man you could have been, but never became. That version of you will haunt you forever. And guess what? No one is coming to stop that future. You are the only thing standing between greatness and misery. Most men never get that. They live in a haze. Years go by, opportunities slip, and one day they blink, and it's over. You want to know the scariest part? The world doesn't care. You think your sadness matters? You think your excuses are valid? No one gives a damn. This is the harshest but most freeing truth. The world rewards strength. That's it. Not intentions, not dreams, not potential, only power. You can be a good man with the best heart, but if you're weak, broke, and inconsistent, you're disposable. Women won't choose you. Employers won't respect you. The system will chew you up and forget your name. That's why I laugh when men tell me life is hard. Of course it's hard. It's supposed to be. Survival. And only those with fire in their eyes and violence in their intent make it out with anything worth having. Let me ask you this. How long will you keep lying to yourself? How long will you keep scrolling through other people's victories while ignoring your own battles? You're watching men younger than you, dumber than you, softer than you fly private and build empires, and you're still playing video games and waiting for motivation. This isn't about motivation anymore. This is about urgency. This is about realizing that if you don't act right now, you'll lose the game permanently. There is no infinite number of chances. Life gives you windows, and they don't stay open forever. Most men won't even realize the window was open until it's already slammed shut. And if you think you can just coast through life with average effort and expect elite rewards, you're living in a fantasy. Success is not some lottery ticket, it's a war. Every single day you're being outworked by someone hungrier, someone who wakes up with blood in his eyes, because he knows what it's like to suffer. I've met killers in the business world who came from nothing, who clawed their way out of the dirt, who refused to be poor one more second. You think you can compete with them by being balanced? You think discipline is optional? This world is merciless. And if you don't become dangerous, if you don't weaponize your potential, you'll be buried by men who did. But here's the other side of that coin, the beautiful part, the hopeful part they don't tell you. The life you dream about, it's real. It exists, and it's closer than you think. You're not as far as you believe. You don't need 10 years. You need intensity. You need to lock in. You need to cut the distractions, the self-pity, the weakness, and you need to make decisions so final, it feels like life or death. That's when things start changing. When your energy becomes so focused that people feel it when you walk into a room. When your results start bending reality. That's when you escape the matrix. Not because you got lucky, but because you refused to be average. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's necessary. You have no other option. Mediocrity is a disease, and most men are infected. You either cure yourself with pain, with consistency, with sacrifice, or you rot. I don't care how much it hurts. I don't care how unfair it seems. Life rewards the man who takes full control. That means no more blaming, no more waiting, no more hoping. Only action. Ruthless, calculated, daily action. Stack wins until they build a wall so high no one can knock it down. Become so undeniable that even your enemies respect you. That's how you build a legacy. You You should be afraid, not of failure, but of being forgotten, of living and dying without making a dent in the world. That's the real fear. Because when the lights go out and the noise fades, and you're alone with your thoughts, that's when the truth hits. The life you could have had, the man you could have been. That's what you're running from. But you can't outrun it. You can only face it and fight. There is a beast inside you, and you've been starving it. You've caged it with comfort, dulled it with doubt, and buried it under every excuse you've ever told yourself. But deep down you still feel it, that silent rage, that quiet frustration every time you see someone else winning, that sick feeling in your gut when you know you are meant for more but keep waking up to the same dead life. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't designed to be a slave to the system. You are a machine built for greatness, and the world has tricked you into thinking you're just another pawn. Telling you now, break the chains or die a nobody. Because the sad truth is, most men die without ever knowing what it feels like to be truly alive. You wake up tired, not because your body is weak, but because your soul is bored. You were never built to chase comfort. You were built to chase conquest. You were built to feel the weight of pressure on your shoulders and crush it. You were built to dominate. That's why mediocrity feels like a slow. That's why when you're sitting on the couch doing nothing, something inside you starts to rot. That's your greatness suffocating. That's your ambition bleeding out because you refuse to give it air. The cure is action. Ruthless, daily, non-negotiable action. The only way to kill weakness is to drown it in discipline. People say life is short. No, life is long if you live it wrong. Decades can pass on autopilot. You can waste entire years trapped in routines that never evolve. You can die at 25 and get buried at 75. And the worst part? You'll be celebrated by other dead men walking. You think going to work, paying bills, and watching Netflix is a life? You think dragging your soul through the mud of mediocrity is noble? It's cowardice disguised as stability. Real life starts when you wake up and realize no one's coming to save you. No mentor, no boss, no miracle. Just your own two hands and your decision to do something extraordinary with them. Discipline is not about waking up early. It's about deciding every single day that your emotions don't run your life. Winners feel lazy, winners feel tired, winners feel weak, but they act anyway. They build anyway. They rise anyway. Every morning they kill the man who wants to stay soft and feed the one who's building an empire. And you still think you need motivation to move? Let me tell you, the man who waits for motivation is already beaten. He's already lost. The man who builds, regardless of how he feels, he's dangerous. That man becomes unstoppable. That man bends reality to his will. And you're not too far gone. I don't care how many mistakes you've made, how long you've been lost, how deep in the hole you think you are. You are one decision away from becoming a savage. But it has to be real. It has to be so violent and final that the old version of you never gets to breathe again. You don't need a new year. You don't need a Monday. You need a moment where you scream, enough, and never look back. Because when you decide to go all in, when you stop flirting with discipline and start marrying it, the universe moves. Opportunities show up, people feel it, results follow. The most powerful men I know aren't the loudest, they're the most consistent. You'll never see them complain. You'll never see them beg. They build quietly. They move like shadows. But when they strike, the world feels it. That's what you need to become. A force of nature. A man so focused, so dangerous, so reliable that even your enemies admire you. Not because you're lucky, not because you're loud, but because you're undeniable. Because you built a life so bulletproof that nothing can shake it. And the only way to get there is by suffering on purpose. Believe for your vision, hurt for your future. Be willing to do what 99% of men refuse to do. You will lose people. You will be misunderstood. They'll call you arrogant. They'll say you've changed. Good. You're supposed to. Evolution offends the stagnant. They don't hate you. They hate that you're proof they could have done more. They'll mock you until they can't ignore you. They'll laugh until your results punch them in the face. And by then, you won't even care. You'll be too busy living a life they never had the courage to chase. So stop worrying about approval. Stop trying to be liked. Be respected. Be feared. Be remembered. Every day you hesitate, the world keeps turning. Every hour you waste, your dream gets colder. But the second you commit, the moment you say, I'm done living like this, the storm begins. That's when you start to forge yourself in the fire of pain and purpose. That's when your eyes change. That's when your walk changes. And that's when the world starts to take notice. You become a man with gravity, a man who commands rooms without speaking, A man who built something so real, so unshakable, that even death bows before him. You want to know the truth? No one's coming to save you. No mentor, no podcast, no motivational speech, no millionaire friend is going to hand you the life you think you deserve. You either get up and take it, or you rot where you stand. This isn't a game. This isn't a movie. There's no dramatic comeback written for you unless you write it yourself, with sweat, blood, and time. And you're standing at the edge of everything you've ever wanted, and you either jump or you stay in the shadows with the rest of the spectators. Every man has two lives, and the second begins the moment he realizes he only has one. The question is, have you woken up yet? Look around you. The men who win aren't better than you. They're not stronger. They're not smarter. They're just done negotiating with mediocrity. They've looked themselves in the mirror and said, this version of me dies today. That's it. No drama, no crying, just war. Every day they kill comfort. Every day they bury weakness. You think success is about motivation? No. Success is about obsession. Truthfully, it's about doing what must be done, especially when you don't feel like it. It's about being the man who shows up when everyone else is making excuses. That's what makes you elite. Not your car, not your followers, not your clothes, but your relentless, non-stop hunger to win. You think pain is your enemy? Pain is your guide. Pain is the compass pointing to where you must grow. Every time life punches you, it's handing you a lesson. Most men run. They numb themselves with distractions. If they avoid it, hide from it, drown it in comfort. But winners, they absorb it. They weaponize it. Every failure becomes a tool. Every setback becomes a staircase. And that's why they rise. That's why they walk into rooms and silence them without a word. Because they've been through war. Because they've bled for this. Because every scar on their body screams discipline, not defeat. And you? Yes, you. You know you've got it inside. You've just been lying to yourself. You've been playing small because the world told you to. You've been dumbing down your potential to fit in with men who are too scared to try. That ends now. You don't get to play weak anymore. You don't get to complain about the life you've chosen to tolerate. This is the chapter where everything changes. Not next week, now. Because the truth is, you've always had what it takes. You just lack the rage. You lack the fire. You lack the deep, violent decision to become someone unrecognizable. There's a version of you that's rich, disciplined, respected, and unfazed by anything. That version isn't a fantasy. It's not a dream. It's real. But it's buried underneath years of softness, laziness, and fear. You don't find them, you build him. Brick by brick, rep by rep, habit by habit. And every single day you delay, that version of you dies a little more. But every day you move with intention, he comes alive. You feel it in your chest. You feel it in your walk. The world starts bending in your favor, not because of luck, but because of force. Because you decided to become undeniable. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for clarity. Start moving. Start building, even when you don't see the full path. The men at the top didn't start with a blueprint. They started with burning hunger. They figured it out as they moved. You think it's going to be clean? You think it's going to be pretty? It's going to be war. It's going to hurt. You're going to lose people. You're going to question everything. But if you stay focused, if you refuse to quit, you will become the man you were born to be. And when that man emerges, no one will ever question your value again. You don't need more time. You need more pressure. You don't need more advice. You need more action. What's stopping you right now isn't your situation, it's your standards. You've been tolerating too much weakness from yourself. You've been accepting bare minimum effort and calling it discipline. Raise your bar so high it scares you. Set goals so big they make your current self uncomfortable, and then burn the bridge behind you. No way back, no plan B, only forward, only war. Because when you remove the option to retreat, you become lethal. You become focused, you become unstoppable. This is your chance. Right here, right now. Not in some fantasy future, not when it feels right, not when you're ready, because you'll never feel ready. Readiness is a lie. Comfort tells you to keep you stuck. Winners act before they feel ready. Readiness jump before they can justify it. Winners move before the world believes in them. And because of that, the world has to believe in them later. You don't need permission to be great. You need conviction. You need to move like the universe already owes you a crown. Because if you act like a king, eventually the world bends the knee.